everyone. Today we're going to work on solving number story problems that involve fractions and mixed numbers. To start, let's do a little warm-up. On a piece of paper, or if you have a whiteboard, you can use that too, I want you to take a second and decompose 2 3/5 in as many ways as you can. Remember, decompose means to break down into smaller parts. Take a minute, pause the video here, and decompose 2 3/5 in as many ways as you can. Welcome back. So I'm sure there's a few different ways that you were thinking of decomposing 2 3/5. A few that I was thinking of was I could have broke it down like this. I could have started with, well, breaking down my wholes, 1 plus 1, and then I could break down 3/5 into its unit fractions, like this. That's one way I could have decomposed 2 3/5. If you were also thinking of decomposing it 1 plus 1 plus 2/5 plus 1/5, that's also another way. There's many other ways that you can decompose, but one third way I'm going to show you that I was thinking of was I could decompose like this. I could decompose 1 2/5 plus 1 1/5 would equal 2 3/5. So as I said earlier, today we're working on solving number story problems that involve fractions. To do that, though, I want to review, well, what are the steps to solving number stories? The first thing that you always need to ask yourself when you're solving a number story problem is, what is the problem actually asking you to do? And you have those keywords in there that can give you that clue. Today we're working on adding and subtracting with fractions and number stories, so you might see some things like more than, left, altogether. Those words are your key to let you know, okay, I'm adding or I'm subtracting the fractions that I have. Be careful though, because sometimes the words are trying to trick you. You really have to read it more than once to understand what it's asking you to do. Once you figure out what the problem is asking you to do, you move on to step number 2, to develop an equation. If I was to develop an equation to decompose my fraction, I might have it look something like this. When you develop an equation, you don't necessarily solve it right away. You use an unknown, which always is a number, to represent what you're trying to do. Once you have your equation developed, then you can move on to step 3 and solve. So today, let's try out doing this with fractions. I'm going to read our story problem to you. Liam is choosing between 2 school backpacks. The black one weighs 1 5/8 pounds. The blue one weighs 2 1/8 pounds. Which one weighs more, and how much does it weigh? Okay, so mathematicians, take a second and pause my video right here, and I want you to try to solve, well, which one does weigh more, and how much more does it weigh? Press play when you're ready for the answer. Welcome back. So it seems like you're ready to go over the answer together. First part that asks, well, which one weighs more? I'm pretty sure we all said the blue one weighs 2 1/8 pounds, which is greater than 1 5/8 pounds. So really nice job there. We know that the blue one weighs more. The second part of our problem, though, is asking, well, how much more does it weigh? When I saw that part, how much more does it weigh, that let me know that I know I need to subtract here. So I'm going to develop my equation with an unknown. I'm going to subtract 2 1/8 from 1 5/8. And then that's going to equal B, the backpack that I'm looking for and the weight of the amount of it. So now I'm ready to solve. I always like to solve my wholes first and then my fractions. So I'm going to break this up into sections. First, I'm going to move on to my wholes. 2 minus 1 equals 1 whole. I know that part. Now I'm going to move on to my fractions. My fractions here, I have 1/8 minus 5/8. But I'm sure you realize you can't subtract 1/8 from 5/8 because 1/8 is a lot smaller than 5/8. So what do we do? If you thought about going back to your whole, you're correct. When this happens and you can't subtract a smaller fraction from a larger fraction, you need to go back up to your whole and you need to decompose it or exchange it for a whole amount. I know that this whole here is equal to 8/8. 8/8 is equal to 1 whole. So I'm going to exchange this that I got here for 8/8. When I do that, I know I need to add 8/8 to my 1/8 because that's all part of this same problem right here, the same number. So if I do that, I'm going to have my new problem of now 9/8 minus 5/8, and that'll give me my answer. Answer here, 4/8 of a pound. Really nice job. So let's try another one together. Omar is choosing between two lightweight running shoes. The green ones weigh 1 6/8 pounds. The gray ones weigh 7/8 of a pound more than the green ones. How much do the gray shoes weigh? Okay, let's take a second here and let's think this through. Pause the video and try to find out how much do the gray shoes weigh. Welcome back. All right, so how much do the gray shoes weigh? Let's walk through the problem together. The green ones, it says, weighs 1 6/8 pounds. The gray ones weigh 7/8 of a pound more than the green ones. Okay, so if you saw that part here that said more than, what do you think that's asking you to do? Yeah, you're right, it's asking you to add. So let's set up our equation here with our unknown. My equation that I'm doing is 1 6/8 plus 7/8. And that is going to equal G, the gray weight of the shoe, the gray shoe's weight. So let's go through the same process we did last time. I'm noticing here that I only have one whole, and then I just have fractional parts. So if we took a second to add that together, let's do that. 1 and then 6/8 plus 7/8. I know my denominator is not going to change. So, if you got an answer like this, 1 13/8, you're not necessarily wrong, but this is what we call an improper fraction. It's improper because 13 is larger than 8. To turn this into a mixed number, I'm going to take my 13/8 and I'm going to try to see, well, how many whole groups of 8 can I make out of that to then add it to my whole? I know that when I have 13/8, I can make another whole group of 8. If I was to decompose 13/8, I could decompose that into 8/8 and 5/8. So if I have 8/8 here, I'm going to exchange that for a whole. So I'm going to change my 1 to a 2, and then what I have left over is my 5/8. So my answer here is going to be 2 5/8 of a pound. Okay, so mathematicians, today you are going to continue your work on solving number story problems that include fractions and mixed numbers. Pay careful attention to what the problem is asking you to do. Let's get started.